So, hello. This is Cathedra Banks coming to you with conscious teachers highlighting positivity throughout our community. And with me today, I have two world travelers. I have Kimberly Stanley and Mo Rigo. Mo, did I say your last name right? Rigo?
Yes, that's actually it. That's my Facebook name.
That's incognito.
Yes. But that's how the way I wrote my last name on Facebook. That's how you pronounce my last name.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So I have two world travelers with me, and I have the pleasure of spending time with each of them. And I really respect all the things that they are doing throughout their lives, which is why I invited them to this conversation. And I know that the both of you have enjoyed extensive travel throughout the world. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, what is it about travel, or what gave you the travel bug? What made you want to go and see some of the far-flung places in our world? I'll ask Kimberly, because I know Kimberly's been everywhere, and she had this really interesting bucket list. And Kimberly,
yes.
talk about your bucket list.
Well, I guess this trend or my desire for travel probably started when I was a kid. Just from watching TV. I remember always thinking, oh, I want to go there. I want to experience there. Or we read a lot, so I used to get myself lost in different books, and whatever you're reading, you'd read about this particular place and you want to experience it. So I think from back then, I always knew that, oh, I want to explore, I want to learn about different cultures and whatnot. And in Jamaica, you don't have as much funds as you might like. You know, there's the rich, there's the poor, but we didn't have enough money to travel as much as we would have liked. So we started
You grew up in Jamaica, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we started off small, where my mom would, take us to explore the tourist section of the country. So whenever, people from abroad think about Jamaica, they'll think about Montego Bay and Negril, whilst I lived more in the city area, Kingston or Spanish Town. So, you start small. And then I remember when my mom finally got me my passport, and I think at the age of 18 or maybe younger, 16, I finally got on a plane and I traveled to Florida, and it started there and then it just took off. And since then, I haven't stopped traveling. And I think part of it is maybe genetics. You never know. My mom, she is a traveler as well. She just takes up and randomly explore all these places. She's most happy when she's planning her next trip or actually experiencing the trip. So I feel like I had no choice.
Yes.
No matter. Yeah, my dad is the opposite, but my mom's always thinking of the next place to go. And I didn't realize it until recently, maybe a year or so ago. I'm like, oh, I took after her.
Yeah.
So, I think it's twofold. Part of it's genetics, and part of it's just your own desire to explore and experience something new.
But you also had that sort of, you had that growing up, you had that model of someone who fostered your desire to see other cultures and other parts of the world.
Exactly, and that's so important.
I had that too,
which kind of ties into how I find that here, or people, and when I say or people, I suppose that would mean people of color in America. They're very limited in their thought processes. We don't grow up with that many limitations in Jamaica because we all look alike.
Right.
We're not thinking, oh, I can't go hiking, I can't go explore this area, I can't go do this because only people of a certain color do this, because we're all the same color and we're all doing that. So we do what we want. So, so I think, like you said, having that person who fosters that is very important. If you're in a family where they don't travel, it's not going to dawn on you that, oh, I can go somewhere too.
Right. No, that's an important thing that you mentioned too, because, in my travels, I've heard that in relation to some of the things that I've done, like I ski. And so growing up, I would hear that, well, only white people ski, and it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, they'll sell ski lift tickets to whoever wants them, But like you said, your experience in Jamaica is that people who are doing things, because it's primarily a country of people of color, they all look like you, and in this country, primarily people who are doing, different things, they look like, the dominant culture. And so people make that distinction that, oh, only they do that, you don't do that. So I think that's an important distinction to make. And then, having that freedom to broaden out, you don't have that sort of blinder on that I can't do this or that. All of that is open to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. Before we get to Mo, quickly, can you tell us about your bucket list? And how do you remember talking about your bucket list that you?
Oh,
I remember your list if you don't. So if you don't,
it's funny because now that I've achieved it, I'm like, oh. So the bucket list, it was just a lifelong goal. It's even more than a bucket list. It was always, I need to step foot on all 7 continents. That's all it's ever been.
Including Antarctica.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, there's debate. Oh, there's 6. There's some, like, I want to step on every single one. So, I've geared my travels to that over the years. And then finally, in 2015, I finally got to all 7. I made it to Antarctica and stepped foot, and it's amongst the penguins. That was really awesome. And part of it has been thanks to the Onyx Birds. If it wasn't for the Onyx Birds, I wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't have. I probably would have, but through them, I was able to get to number 6. Australia. I was able to get to Africa with the Onyx Birds as well. So. Thanks to them, it was nice to experience that through with them.
We're going to talk about Onyx Birds in a minute, but Mo, so what in your early development gave you the desire to want to travel and see the world? And also, did you grow up here in the U.S. or did you grow up in Haiti?
No, I was born here. I'm first generation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was born in Chicago and basically grew up pretty much in Boston, Massachusetts. So, but for me, I would say it's kind of similar to Kimberly's situation. I would say the only difference is that growing up, I spent a lot of time watching old school kung fu movies.
Old school kung fu movies?
Yes.
I remember those. We watched those back.
Bruce Lee, Into the Dragon.
Yeah, the Shaolin brothers.
Yes.
Excellent films like Five Masters of Death and all that, Five Deadly Venoms. So when I would watch those Chinese movies, I was like, oh man, I want to go to China. I want to go there, because I know that they were filming these movies like in China and Taiwan and everything else like that. So I was like, I want to go there. And then also, so that started piquing my interest. But when you're a kid, you start to talk to yourself like,
right.
I would write it down and everything, but not knowing that if I would ever get there, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Growing up, like Kimberly was saying, we didn't have a lot of money, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm the youngest, and it was really my mother working 3 jobs to take care of all 8 of us.
Wow, 8.
8,
wow.
yes.
Wow.
My mother and father had separated, but my father was still in Boston. It's just that he wasn't in the house anymore.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So one summer my mother sent me to Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure Kimberly can relate, because it's the norm if you come from a West Indian family,
yeah,
your parents to send you away for the summers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the norm, but I didn't get.
I'm here too. You just get sent to the south. You don't get sent.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely true. And so my mom sent me to Haiti, and that was like really my first taste of just like getting on a plane and being in a total foreign country. Even though it was part of my culture, I was really like a foreigner because back then I couldn't really speak the language, but I could understand it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that was really like my first taste of actually traveling abroad, and I actually liked it. You know, the unfortunate thing about it is that my mom didn't send me again the following summer. So,
So you got that taste.
I got that taste, and then what happened was, we had moved to Florida. So moving from like a big metro city to like a small city where you don't see anybody on the streets.
Wow.
You know, and it was really confusing for me because I'm coming from the city, like, where's all the people? And so I did my last 2 years of high school there. And my mother, I guess she got concerned about me because we didn't have any family there. All my family was up here, family in Chicago, family in New York. And so, you know, my mom one day had a recruiter at my house. So I come home, I'm in my senior year. I come home, I walk in the front door, I see my mom, I say hi to my mom, and I see the Army recruiter. I said hi. I said hi to, it was a sister too. I can't remember her name, but she was Staff Sergeant something, but it was a sister. She had a short haircut just like you. Yeah, she was really nice. And so I said hi to both of them. I went straight to my room.
Right, she's not here for me.
And so my mother was like, you know, come out the room. I was like, come out the room for what? So I came out. And so my mother had me sit down and speak, you know, had the girls and a recruiter spoke to me. And she was telling me all the great things about the military and all that.
Yeah.
I said, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty interesting because my older brother, Gabby really, was in the military. So I said to the recruiter, if I sign up, if you can guarantee me that I can go overseas, then you can sign me up.
Wow.
Now, this is the thing. Recruiters are not allowed to make promises.
Right.
So I can't remember if she said she was going to promise, but she said she's going to do her very best. Okay. I said, okay, you know what? If you're going to do your very best for me, then fine. I will sign up. And so, you know, she had me go take the test and everything. I took the test. I did a good job and everything. And then when I went to boot camp, I actually ended up going overseas.
Wow.
So they sent me to Germany.
Oh.
And so once I got a taste of German, I was like, you know what? I want to start traveling more. So when I was stationed in Germany, you know,
did you like Germany?
Excuse me?
Did you like it there in Germany?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Because I asked because I have my aunt and uncle were stationed in Germany for I believe like 15 years, and they loved it. They loved it. Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of negative preconceived notions about Germany because of World War II, Hitler,
right?
And
Exactly. Yeah.
But when I actually went there, I was like, you know what? This is not a bad country. I mean, they got their challenges just like anywhere else. I got a chance to like travel to Austria. I got a chance to travel around Germany. And then, you know, at that point, I was like, you know what? I want to start traveling more, but I didn't really start traveling until I met up with the Onyx Birds. And to be honest with you, I can't remember who I met first in Onyx Birds. I think it was maybe Tanya. And even then, I don't know how I met Tanya.
Yeah.
Because then she started talking to me, I believe, and then told me about the Onyx Birds. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me check out this Onyx Birds thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because she was telling me about Thornton. I was like, she was telling about Thornton, like, you know, he's a Jamaican brother. I was like, okay, bet he's Jamaican. That's cool. so I, you know, she was telling me a little bit about about the Onyx Birds and everything.
Right.
And I was like, cool. So then I think she introduced me to Thornton. And what really sold me on the Onyx Birds was that I only could speak as a black man, as a black person. He was telling me that, you know, in the field that he's in, because he's in that IT,
right.
He travels all around the world for his work.
Yeah.
He's talking about how when he traveled, you know, he didn't see enough of us, enough of Black people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, wow. I was like, really? And so he started telling me all these different places that he went to. I was like, wow, you went to these places? And I always asked him, were there any Black people? You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, I want to know what's going on with our Black people there. You know, I was up there, and how do they treat you? Because, you know, I have this kind of like, not a love-hate, but I'm kind of like suspect with a lot of European countries because you know, because of the history and all that, and you know, dealt with you know, Black people and just people of color in general. You know what I'm saying?
So Mo, before you go on about Onyx Bird, let me just say that Onyx Bird is a meetup group here in Massachusetts. Its focus is getting people of color together, although everybody's welcome, but getting people of color together so that they can explore the different places throughout the world that typically we don't find people who look like you and I. And so it's a large organization. I'm not really sure how many members, but does anybody know how many members Oxford has?
It's over 1,000 now because there was an email about we hit 1,000. But honestly, we only have about, like, in terms of active members, I think we may have maybe 100, 150 active members. People,
about
go to the weekly events and you know, actually travel.
So the Onyx Bird, as an organization, has gone to places like the French Riviera for the African Film Festival. It has taken people to Africa, different parts of Africa. It has taken people to Australia. It has taken folks throughout various places in the world, and people have been able to come together and travel and feel safe in their endeavors and experience some wonderful, wonderful things. And the founder of the group is it's Thornton, right? Thornton Shepherd. Okay. And one of the other organizers of the group is Tanya Grimes, who we hope to talk to later. But so you were going on about your experience with Onyx Bird, Mo, and how. So you hadn't really traveled after the Army until you got together with the Onyx Birds? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, I didn't get a chance. I didn't travel overseas, but I would do a lot of traveling here in the States, like going from Maine to Florida to Texas. Some states in the Midwest and everything. But like I was saying earlier, what really sold me was Thornton when he said that the mission, like you had stated earlier, was to encourage those of us from the African diaspora to travel beyond our comfort zones like Mexico, the Republic, the Caribbean, you know, go to places like Southeast Asia, go to places like where our sister Kimberly went, Antarctica. Now that she's gone to Antarctica, I mean, I don't like the cold, just like, you know what I'm saying? But I was saying to myself, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, you know what, Sister Kimberly went to Antarctica. I want to go to Antarctica now.
Yeah, I think we all got to go now.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So right now, my goal is to hit all the continents like she did, because that's something I want to do. But you know, Thornton and Tanya have really created a very special group of the Onyx Birds.
Yes.
And, I've met some amazing people like yourself, Sister Kimberly, you know, just, you know, y'all are sisters that I love dearly, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And love traveling with y'all, love communicating with y'all. So it's become like a tight-knit family.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, and it's Black people coming together to do it. Right. Yes, is it exclusive Black? No, we have other people involved as well. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's Black people coming together, traveling.
Yes.
It's just a beautiful thing.
I agree. I totally agree. And so you were saying, just going over to Kim. Kim, your experiences with the Onyx Bird. I know that you also have organized some trips yourself with the Onyx Birds. And how did you first hear about them? You said through Tanya, or?
I started off in the meetup group through I think the professionals of color or something,
Uh-huh.
because I was new to Boston at the time and trying to make acquaintances per se, kind of
Right.
start over with the whole friendship thing. And I think through the professionals of color, there's only so many of us here.
Right.
So, one person, they know the next person, everyone.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, I ended up at the Applebee's in South Boston there at the mall, South Bay Mall.
Yes.
That was my first Onyx Bird meetup. I met Thornton. I think Tanya was there. And that was when the group was very new in 2008.
Wow.
2008. I think at that point they might have not gone on any trips yet, or maybe gone on one. And you explained what the concept was, and since that first meeting, I've been going back. And
You were hooked.
really nice people, made some really good friendships. And I mean, the majority of my entertainment over the years has been because of the Onyx Birds, because Tanya is good for posting free stuff.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of fun things.
Yeah, plays, musicals. So another thing, and you'll probably discuss that yes, we want to travel together. That's the aim. But I think a good thing about the Onyx Bird is that thanks to Tanya mainly, she tries to organize things throughout Boston so that we can get to know each other. Because if you're going to travel with someone, you want to know who you're traveling with. So I think that's part of a really integral part of the group, that we get to do things together. Like, you might have family members who don't want to go see a play or a musical.
Right.
The Onyx Birds are going. They've made me more conscious of Blackness. Yes, because I'm not from here. So they have these amazing meetups at the African American Museum, right there in off Beacon Street or Beacon Hill, in that area in Boston. Stuff like that I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for the Onyx Birds. So I learned so much from them or through them.
I agree, because I wasn't even aware of like the mini galas that are like the formal dances, parties that go on.
Those things that they have every year, or even the French. Every year they travel to France for the Pan-African festival or whatnot. Yeah.
So it has become for me also truly like a community, like and helping me to be aware of like what's new and what's happening in the city, or throughout the state, as well as what's going on abroad. And so it has definitely opened my eyes, and as it seems it has opened the two of you, your eyes as well, about things that you can experience and be a part of. And I even think, who was it that had their birthday in Dubai with the Onyx Bird?
Last year. Last year.
Did you go to that, Kim?
The year before. It was one of your members, right?
Right. It was one of the members, and she had her birthday in Dubai.
And I think it was Andrea. Andrea.
It was Andrea?
I think it was Andrea.
Okay. Did you go, Mo?
No. I could be wrong, but I think it was Andrea.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was 2 years ago.
And she invited the, members from the Onyx Bird to have this amazing experience in Dubai and help her celebrate her birthday, which is, when I saw that, my first impression was, is it just rich people? Don't only rich people go to Dubai? Like, somebody having their birthday bash, just an ordinary person. I'm like, that is really hot. I have got to write that down for my 50th or 60th or something, that, to plan outside the box, because, that sounded pretty amazing to me,
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I wanted to ask each of you about what has been your favorite place to visit, your least favorite place to visit, and why? And if you could live somewhere else in the world, where would you pick and why?
I'll go.
Okay, well,
because I need time to
Okay, so my most favorite place to visit?
Yes.
You know me, it's Africa, baby.
Yes. Yes.
It's Africa. Africa is so vast. The continent is so beautiful, beautiful people. the richness. That's our roots, you know.
Yes.
As a global Africans from the diaspora,
Yes.
and there's so many amazing things that are happening on the continent that we're not hearing about, or we're not hearing enough about.
Right.
Saying there's this narrative that's being painted of it being a corrupt, war-ravaged, poverty stricken place, and that's totally the opposite. I mean, are there some trouble spots on the continent? Of course there is.
Yeah.
But you know, people have to remember. I believe there's 54 countries on the continent. So sometimes, you know, we can be very ignorant when we take one country that's a trouble spot and paint the whole entire continent as such. You know what I'm saying? But Africa, I mean, the food. Every time I go to Africa, I don't want to come back. You know what I'm saying? So Africa has a special place in my heart. And what's the other question? Other two questions, please.
Well, before I tell you, I want to say this about Africa. I totally agree with you about the narrative, and that was like one of my focuses about this conversation and about some of the things that I'm doing in general about what Africa is. I remember posting a picture on my Facebook page of a very urban and modern train station, and it had these beautiful, sleek trains, you know, coming through the station. And someone commented, "Where is this, Tokyo?" And I'm like, "No, this is Nigeria." Like, and they're like, "Nigeria?"
Wow.
Like,
that's right. That's
you
right.
know, like, you know, and so, you know, there is this, like you said, this belief that it's this desolate, poverty-stricken, disease-ridden, you know, place, when there are I think I personally feel like Africa is one of the best kept secrets in America. I think Europeans know different because they're colonizing Africa, you know, but Americans do not know the wealth and the beauty and the, you know, the magical places that exist there. And so when you know, I had also posted a picture of Cape Ann and the mansions that outline the coast there. You know, like, this is, like, you would think that you're looking at a Hollywood coastline or a Californian, you know, this is Africa, you know. So yeah, I agree with you about that narrative and changing that narrative. And I'm glad that, you know, people are experiencing that. And to see your pictures posted on the Onyx Bird site, you know, on their page about the things that you've seen with your own eyes. For me, that actually gives me life. Like, yeah, this is what it is, and I know someone who's been there and has seen it himself. So that's very powerful to me. My other question was, what was your least favorite place to visit?
With the Onyx Birds, or just in general?
Just in general.
Let me see. The fact that I'm having trouble coming up with one, that means I haven't had.
That's good.
I haven't had a bad experience, to be honest with you. Well, I can't. I haven't had. I can't name my least favorite place, because every place I've been to has been a positive experience. Has been a positive experience.
Yeah.
I've had some unpleasant events on some of my trips.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in terms of least favorite, I got some more countries. I got a pin on my map.
Right. Before you can.
Before I get to that point, and I think eventually we all get to a place where we're gonna visit a location or visit a country where we're not gonna be crazy about.
Yes.
And so I'm not there yet. So
when you say, like, you've had some experiences, what would you boil down those experiences to? Like a cultural misunderstanding, or like a language barrier, or like?
No, I would attribute that to when I meet people.
Yeah.
I'm smashing their stereotypes about Black people.
Yeah.
You see the way that they view Black people.
Right.
And the great thing about Onyx Bird is that when we go and travel all around the world, we're tearing down those stereotypes.
Exactly.
When they look at us, when they look at Sister Kimberly,
yes,
they can't say, "Oh, she's like that stereotype."
Right.
She did it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, you know, I'll give you one example. I went to Japan. Now, if anyone knows Japan, Japan's a very homogeneous. What's the word?
Homogeneous
Homogeneous, yeah.
Homogeneous society. So, you know, they're not, even though they can be nice people, they're not entirely open when it comes to non-Japanese people.
Right.
Even those from Asia.
Historically, right, yeah.
Historically.
Right.
And so when I was in Japan, actually I did travel to Japan after I got out of the military. But when I was in Japan, they kept asking me, do I play basketball? Do I dance? You know what I'm saying? And then I had a couple of them asking me, do I got any marijuana, any weed? I was like, dude, not all black people can dance. Not all black people can play basketball. And not all black people smoke weed.
Right.
Where you guys getting this foolishness from?
Right,
you know
right.
So I found myself checking quite a few Japanese people, and for the most part, they were receptive to me, you know, re-educating them. And I had to tell them, look, this is whatever perception you have of black people,
right?
You need to check that, because we're not all that. You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't then with, you know, as I started challenging their you know, this idea, this false perception they have about black people, they started like realize, okay, well, you know, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Because then I put it back on them. How would you like it if, you know, Japanese people were viewed in this way?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So